Hey everyone, just wanted to give a quick update on the progress we're making on the Model A. So here's what we have been doing. Working on the fuel system of the Model A. I've got the sediment bowl all cleaned out. I've removed the fuel lines. We had this contraption up here, and then that line goes down here and along the frame, loops around here and into that fuel pump. You can see that this line here, this hard fuel line, was kind of bent incorrectly, and so it's kinked, as well as this line was really poorly kinked. And you can even see this line here has got a kink, and then we're coming up to that and into our carburetor. So I'm going to replace all of that fuel line, eliminate the kinks, and eliminate one of those filters. Here we are looking down inside the fuel tank. You can see the fuel gauge cork there that's all fuel logged and probably no longer floats, which would be why the gauge is not working. And you can see how rusty the tank is. So we're going to remove the tank and do our best to clean out all that rust and get it serviceable again. Here you can see that I've got the fuel tank loose. That's looking inside the car. So I've taken all of the bolts out here. We've taken all the bolts that run along the top there off. The steering column has been disconnected from the tank, and over here we have removed the little dash panel, and then those wires are going to get pulled through as we remove the tank. Here's pulling the tank out. This is the shutoff valve for the fuel tank, and if we look down inside there, the hole in there is incredibly small. So just this valve right here is greatly restricting our fuel flow. Here's our cleaning supplies for the fuel tank. We'll put these lead pellets, going to pour them into the tank, and then this vinegar, and we'll rock it around and slosh it around. The pellets will act almost like a sandpaper, and they should chip away at the rust, and the vinegar should help dissolve and soften things up. Dumping in the media and the vinegar, and then we are shaking it and shaking it and shaking it just a whole lot more than I'm going to show in this video because it's boring. Here's the new fuel line coming out of our sediment bowl. We have a nice smooth radius, and then we turn, we follow down here, come along the frame up to here. We've got a nice smooth radius there going into our fuel pump. And then we've got some smooth bends coming up here, up along into our fuel filter, and a nice smooth radius right into the carburetor. Here's the first run of vinegar in there. We've been sloshing the tank around, and you can see that it's certainly mixing up some stuff and busting things out. So there's been probably an hour of shaking this around, and then I let that sit overnight. So now we are going to dump it into this bucket and see where we're at. Here's what we're looking like after the first soak and shake, and I just kind of drained it. I haven't flushed it out yet, so it'll probably look even better than that once we flush it. And there's our sludge from the first batch. Well, we're making some progress. Finally starting to see the shiny bottom of the tank in some spots. So I removed the fuel gauge so that it could be rebuilt and cleaned up. We're going to get all of this sealant off of here and replace all of the gaskets and replace the cork, polish everything up so that we can have a nice, clean, functioning fuel gauge again. Here I'm just scraping off the silicone. It seemed like that it was used to seal up the gauge. We're going to put it back together correctly, which is using a cork gasket. That's how they were originally made, and the cork seems to be still really reliable, so we're going to go back to how it was originally done. You can see that right now you can barely see through that gauge, so even though it could have been working, you couldn't see it. And here's the old cork that's all broken, and so we took that off, just scraping off all of the rust and buildup on everything. And then here I'm pulling the pin out so that we can take the mechanism apart, just so we can make sure we get everything cleaned up as best we can. And there you can see your level indication. So we're also going to take this center piece apart so that we can get to that lens. So we need a special tool to get into that, but we get in there and then we're able to get that lens out of there and clean out all the gunk that's stuck inside there. I used my Dremel with a wire wheel to get down inside everywhere, and then it also works really well for polishing everything up and getting all of that buildup off of there. And things were looking pretty good by the time we got it all polished up. Especially on this ring here that had been covered in some kind of sealant to try and seal the tank. Perhaps there was a leak there or something, but we're going to clean all of that off and make it nice and shiny again. And on our level indicator, I'm going to give it a nice polish, and we'll put some black paint down in those letters so that it's really clear and easy to read when it's put back in the car. So here I am installing the new cork gaskets and the new lens and indicator, and just getting everything assembled back together. And much easier to see through that clear lens now with everything polished up. And then putting on our new cork, and here it is, and you can just see how much easier it'll be to read our fuel gauge now. Well, we're getting closer. Things are starting to get clean. That rust's finally starting to loosen up. I think we've been soaking and sloshing around for about 4.5 days now. So that's where we're at right now. I think we're making some pretty good progress. I've got some parts ordered that should be coming here in the next week, and we'll keep trucking away on that gas tank so that we can have it nice and clean and hopefully back in the car here soon.